kind of starting with the problem here. So to understand what a unified namespace is all about, let's start off by talking about the problem that it solves, which really boils down to a lack of data standardization. So when you have inconsistent methods for naming and organizing your data, you end up with data silos, which nobody wants. Data silos make it difficult to share data with other people in your organization or other applications within your organization, which means people can't get easy access to the data that they need to do their jobs well. Now, this isn't new. It's not a new problem. Arlen, can you talk a little bit about how people have been dealing with data management up until now?
Sure, Ken. Well, I mean, really, when you look at it, I've been doing this for 45 years now. And if you think about our industry is very register based. We've got Modbus registers, Allen Bradley registers, and we've got all of this machinery and equipment and sensors that we're trying to hook up. So, if you look at the way we've been doing it, we were editing tags as they came into the system. So, this is Modbus register 40,001. It has a value of 12. Well, what does that value mean? So then we have to go in and edit where that tag is coming in and say, well, actually, this is an analog value 0 to 1024. We're going to scale it 0 to 5,000 somethings. Oh, those somethings are going to be in PSI. And we might want to enter things like dead banding and things like that. So every time, now that went from the equipment to an application. Well, then somebody else in the enterprise wanted to use that data. So now we're editing it again and again and again. So it becomes a vicious circle of the problem of managing those registers, those process variables over the life of the product.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arlen. I completely agree. Luckily, there's a solution to these problems, right? And that is the unified namespace. And so what is a unified namespace exactly? Well, a definition is it's basically a standardized method of organizing and naming data so that all your data is consistent. And you create the architecture of a unified namespace based on the specific structure and events of your organization. And that's a key piece there based on your organization. A unified namespace for a long time has been associated with a standard structure that you need to get all your data to fit into a predefined structure. You'll find unified namespaces are much easier when you can make it customized to you and what's valuable to your organization and define that as the structure. We'll kind of show that in a little bit here. Another key feature is that you have one communication interface with a unified namespace so that you get a single source of truth. We'll be talking about that as well. So let's take a look at the many benefits there are to a unified namespace. First off, easy access to all your data, right? If you can get all your data into one place, then it's easy to get people or applications access to that data. By having that all streamed through in one way, it also can be more cost effective than having your data being managed by a bunch of separate tools. Also, by having that data in one spot, it's easier to start doing predictions of when things will go wrong, getting more insights into your data. It also provides better traceability of your data, and it becomes much easier to scale your operations a whole lot faster and easier. Additionally, this provides a single source of truth so that everyone in your organization is on the same page. And since you need less specialized engineering, you're saving time and money. And it also helps you use the supply chain better. You have better visibility into all of it and helps boost efficiency overall. And really what this all boils down to is, allowing you to make better decisions since everyone has easy access to the data they need and when they need it. And those better decisions can be done by individuals. Those can be augmented by tooling, all that kind of stuff. But really that's what it is. It's all about getting the data to the right people to make the right decisions at the right time. So what has been driving this unified namespace movement? It's not a new thing, it's new within the last several years here, but it's not, like it just started in 2023. What has, allowed the unified namespace to have some lasting impact? Why do people keep talking about it? Why do people keep, trying to achieve this? Well, we mentioned earlier the problems of manual data entry and point-to-point data integration. And that's true. People are trying to do those things, but really there's a new set of problems that are making it hard to do things that people are very interested in right now, which would be AI, machine learning, and predictive maintenance. Because to be able to leverage these new technologies, you need your data to be standardized and structured. And you need good data. So it needs to be clean and it needs to have context and all these things. And so a unified namespace really helps you to have a common data standard to be able to use these technologies effectively. By not having an enterprise, not having your enterprise's data in a UNS makes it almost impossible to maintain these technologies from a cost perspective, because you end up doing a lot of manual labor, a lot of manual cleaning up of your data, aggregating your data, all that kind of stuff. And so as people are trying to leverage these, those requirements are pushed down so that people need to establish a UNS to solve these problems. And that way, these technologies can actually be utilized. So all of that is really driving this movement towards a unified namespace. All right, so with that kind of foundation, let's look at an example structure of the unified namespace. This is ISA 95's common data model, and it's just an example of what a structure could look like. Here you have the hierarchy with the enterprise going down to a specific site, then an area, production line, and a cell at the lowest level. And of course, you want to design something that's relevant to your organization and how it's set up, but this one is commonly used. Arlen, coming back to you, can you share some tips on building a successful unified namespace architecture?
Sure, Ken. I mean, we've been talking about this, and it's interesting, kind of like when Andy and I did the first project for Phillips 66, we had this that had come up with a topic. And again, what we've said from day one is with MQTT, you can have any topic, you can have any payload, and we invented that, and then we go, oh well, now we need to actually apply it. And so, we started off for Phillips 66, and it was like, well, okay, we're controlling 12 pipelines. So, a good architecture is, let's pipeline 1, pipeline 2, pipeline 3, so on and so forth. Then on each of the pipelines, we had a booster station. So, okay, pipeline 1, booster station 1. And at the booster station, we had 3 PLCs. So PLC 1, 2, 3, flow computer 1, 2. And so literally we, and that, even that, if we look at that as a unified namespace, Phillips 66 have been using that for the last 25 years. That feeds their leak detection systems, that feeds their scheduling system. So that really worked out really well. So for the tips are model your namespace, architect it for what you do. And Kent showed the ISA 95 model. And for some people, especially in manufacturing and plants, that's going to work quite well. But if you're an oil and gas company, it may not, that may not fit your model. There may be another way for that. So what our goal with UNS is to take tribal knowledge from equipment that we have engineers in the field, they all know how it works. But our job with the unified namespace is to turn data into information that the rest of the company can use. So always think about, if I'm designing a unified namespace, hey, I've got these engineers, they understand Modbus register, 40,001, but not everybody in the enterprise does. So how can you architect that for your environment? Follow what the people in operations want to see, because they're the first level of people that have to work on this unified namespace. So they're kind of the first level consumer of when it hits. What do they want to see? How do they want to see it? But keep in mind that it's going to flow, because as Kent said, with AI, ML, with these cloud architectures, we're going to get this up to IT, and they're going to want that data to already be organized to where they can start operating on it. And then again, base your naming convention on your hierarchy, depending on, if you're a small company, you're just a single location, your hierarchy could be actually quite flat. If you're a large organization with a lot of different facilities around the world, then that naming convention might go a little bit deeper to, again, Ken's point with the ISA 95 model. But first and foremost, we're designing this to make it easy for everybody in the enterprise to use our machine data. not just the operational engineers.